Hey guys, I think at this point I've finally played enough Mortal Kombat 1 to give you guys my review. I've played about 70 hours of the game. I've played 5 of the invasion maps. I've played through the story mode twice. I've played about 100 online matches and 200 local play matches. And I've only done one of the combat towers. But yeah, I think I've finally played enough to finally give you guys a full review of the game. Let me get into the pros, the cons, and then I'll give you my final verdict. And I'll try and make this one quicker than normal. Um, I am a big Mortal Kombat fan, but overall, in terms of like fighting games, I would say I'm like your average fighting game enjoyer. I don't play all of them, and I don't play like super hardcore. I'll dabble a bit in online, but most of the time I'm just doing it to play with friends and do local play and play through the single player. So I do play all the big Mortal Kombat Street Fighter releases, and then I'll dabble in some of the other ones, like I dabbled in DNF Duel, and Dragon Ball Fighters, some of the more obscure stuff. But for the most part, I'm just sticking to the big boys here. And I've always enjoyed Mortal Kombat, all the way back to Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 on the SNES. So let's get into it. The first pro I'll say is this is the best story mode since MK9, in my opinion. It's sort of a reboot of the universe. And boy, oh boy, did it need it because of the dumpster fire that was MK11. I was really not a fan of really any of the story in Mortal Kombat 11, any of Chronica or any of that did not vibe with me. And I'm happy to say that this story mode is much, much better. They retcon a lot of stuff, and we finally start to see some of the versions of the characters that, at least for me, I've wanted to see for a very long time. So there is a lot of origin stories and stuff like that, and the story mode does get a little marvelly towards the end, and if you've seen it and played it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But overall, I think it's quite good. But yeah, while I really enjoy the story mode, I also just love the combat in the game. Every single character that I've played in the story mode and that I've played since, as you can see from the gameplay, I'm a Shao main. No, not the Chinese food, not chow mein. Okay, I'm a General Shao main. He's not Shao Kahn in this game. But everybody that I've played, I've learned Melina now as well, and I have just thoroughly enjoyed every single character that I've played in the game other than Rain. And the pacing, I think, in this game is perfect. It's faster paced than MK11, which in my opinion was like a snooze fest of a game. And but it's not as fast paced as like a Mortal Kombat 10, which I think was a little too fast for a lot of people. But I have just thoroughly enjoyed all of the characters. I've enjoyed playing with all of the cameos as well. I think the pacing is perfect and the depth is perfect. Some characters are definitely far more complicated to learn, like Kenshi. People say Shao is complicated. I don't think he is. I'm not some like Giga Brain fighting game nerd or anything like that, but I've done quite well with him. Online, I've absolutely been dumpstering on people, so yeah, I don't know. I don't think that he's that hard to learn personally, but some of the characters definitely are. Like Kenshi is quite difficult, so there's a lot of depth if you want it, but there's also characters like Scorpion that are very straightforward, super easy to use. You can be doing 40% combos really quickly. Some people will complain, speaking of combos, of the length of combos. Sometimes people will hit an attack on you and you'll be in a combo for like 25 seconds. Like, that's very real. However, I don't really have a problem with it because it does require a lot of skill to hit those 25-second long combos, and they do a lot of damage. So it's not one of those things where you're going to be stuck in a long combo for like multiple times in a match. It's one of those things where if you're getting hit with a 25-second long combo, you're probably losing like 50% of your health. So, you don't have to sit through that for a long time because you're going to be fucking dead. So I think I really, really like the pacing of the game. I like all the cameos. I like what they introduced. I'm so happy they got rid of the stupid fucking variation system in MK10 and then the awful move limiting that was in MK11. All characters, they just have their full move sets, right? And then you can obviously use a cameo to get more out of them. And it seems like from all the characters I've played, all of them are lacking in some regard. And that's really nice because you're supposed to then kind of fill out those holes in your character, those weaknesses, with your cameos. All right, so a good example is Shao. He lacks a lot of like low openers. He has this stomp that's a low, but it's quite slow and people can react to it. But then when you bring in Frost, Frost gives you a low that's a freeze. So you can then incorporate that into your combos, and now you have overhead low mix-ups, which is really, really nice. And then it also works well with Shao because he has a move where he powers up his axe for 20% extra damage. So there's just enough time if you freeze somebody to power up your axe and then get in your launcher and get in a huge damage combo. So I think Frost really works well for him, but you know, every character seems to have something like that where this character works really well with this cameo, and that's just super fun to experiment with and find out organically as you play. And I think they do a great job of some of the cameos also being simple and some of them being more complicated. You know, you can take something like Serena, and that's just going to give you easy peasy extra damage in your combos, but very surface level. Or you can go ahead and take someone more complicated like Darius, which I've been using with Melina, and he's far more complex to actually do because he has like combo moves and stuff like that where he works with who you're playing as. But that depth is just really, really appreciated. I really like it. I think the combat is easily the best part of the game, which is good because that's the most important part of a fighting game is indeed the combat. I also think the sound is incredible. All the stages have great soundtracks. The Cage match, the like Johnny Cage Mansion soundtrack is a banger. The Living Forest one is a banger. The Pyramid one is a super banger. Really, really, really good. I like all of it. And the actual sound for, you know, the impact and the gore and the, you know, the goopies. I think all of that just freaked Momo out. All of that is really good as well. But not everything is great. So let me go ahead and get into some of the cons here. I think Invasions mode sucks. Just to be honest with you guys, I'm not an Invasions mode enjoyer. I don't like it. In case you haven't seen any gameplay of it, it's basically like a Mario Party board that you walk around and you go through fights that'll have wacky, you know, little upgrades like, oh, a frost meteor will come in on this fight. And they try and do some RPG elements where like, oh, your character does this element and that element is strong against these people that have this element, but weak against these people that have this element. But I think most of the time you're just going to ignore that, except for the really hard fights, because you're just going to, you know, play your main, obviously. And you do level up, but you're probably just going to put all of your points into damage because you want to get Invasions mode done with as soon as possible. I'm just not a fan of it. It takes it's 30 FPS for some reason on the map. To walk around takes fucking forever. There's no giant map overview, so you can really plan out where you want to go. Yeah, I'm just really not a fan of Invasions mode at all, which is a shame because it did look pretty cool in the initial stuff, but man, it's just frustrating. And it's made all the more frustrating by the fact that a lot of like the fights, the enemy has super armor. Like almost all of them, the enemy has super armor. So you have to just block a ton and wait for them to glow blue, because that's when you can actually attack them and knock them out of stuff. And it's just not good. One thing that is good is the rewards. The rewards are great for the mode. I'm not gonna lie, they're really good, but it's not fun to get those rewards. And I think an easy fix to this would be, because there's no crypt or anything anymore, there's just a shrine, which is also negative. You just pay 1,000 coins and you get a random item, which is probably going to be shitty concept art. You know, you're going to have to get like 200 things of concept art before you even start like reliably getting character cosmetics, which is just a terrible system. Very annoying, very grindy. And you don't get it for local matches. and they don't have the MK11 thing where you can, you know, offline AI. You know, I did that a ton in MK11 as I had my AI fighter and that shit was running 24/7 through matches. It was just constantly going through matches, getting me currency, getting me this and that. So then when I finally played, I could go to the crypt and unlock a bunch of stuff. Well, that's not even in the game anymore. So that's an L. I don't know why the hell they took it out. I suppose to make it more grindy, but it does not feel good, dude. It does not feel good at all. And what also doesn't feel good is like going through invasions mode and then finally getting an outfit and the outfit sucks, or you like part of the outfit but you cannot combine and mix and match gear anymore. So for Shao, for example, the only thing that you can change for his gear is his axe. You can't change his mask. If you want to change his mask, you have to change his entire skin. And that sucks because, like, I got a weird, like, Shaolin monk's outfit for him for, like, his robes and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that might be cool if I can put on the mask because it doesn't have the mask on. You can't put on the mask. You can't mix and match. I want this part from this and this part from this, or I want this color from this on this. You can't do that. And it's just a huge step back from the craziness that MK11 was, right? MK11 had all sorts of like crazy shit that you could do with your character to the point where sometimes you'd see a character and you're like, wait, is that Sub-Zero? Like, that doesn't look like Sub-Zero. That looks like fucking Shredder, you know? That doesn't exist in this game. Like, you're very limited on your customization, and I'm not a fan of that. You know, if I want limited customization, why wouldn't I just play fucking Street Fighter? You know, at least Street Fighter has mods, so then I can, you know, I can be Guts Ryu, you know. But yeah, it's not great. The customization isn't great. The rewards for invasions is good. You get a lot of rewards, but the actual gameplay of invasions is lackluster, to say the least. Definitely not a fan of that. Towers is about what you would expect. Like I said, I only played like 1 Towers, but it's what you would expect. It's still fine. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this. The online is terrible right now. At least at this current point, a couple weeks after release, the online is just, it's so bad. You are so incredibly delayed. I was playing against a guy that was like 50 ping. So that's a really good connection, actually, normally. And, it was just extremely delayed. Like, you basically have to learn all of your combos over again because the delay is so huge. And I suppose one thing that is nice is that there is an option that you can enable to make it so your offline matches resemble the like lag compensation in online matches. So that's great. You know, if you didn't want to actually enjoy the game not being a laggy piece of shit in offline, then you can, in order to practice your combos online. It does not feel good. They need to fix it, especially because, like, I'm playing against my friend that's in Oregon. I'm in Arizona, not very far for you geography knowers. Not very far at all. We're sitting at about 80 ping for some reason, and it just feels terrible. And it really shouldn't, because we're not that far from each other. So I don't really know what the hell is going on, but it's so laggy. You have to relearn all of your combos, essentially, and the timings for it. It doesn't feel good. But overall, I do think that the game is a complete package. There's some glitches and stuff like that, but I haven't had anything major. I've just had, you know, the usual, like, subtitles for the dialogue saying MK12, you know, or, like, I do a brutality where I hit someone's head off and their head's floating. So I haven't had any major glitches or anything of the sort, but I do think that Invasions mode is certainly lackluster, and what's really, really lackluster is the customization and the online. Those need work big time, but I'm hoping that, you know, they'll get on that. But as of right now, I would say the game's probably, for me, sitting at a 7 out of 10. For me, a 5 is average, 6 is above average, 7 is good, 8 is great, 9 is amazing, and 10 is like a near flawless masterpiece. I think, ooh, man, that was a crispy little conversion I got there. Ooh, sorry. Looking at my own gameplay here. That was good. Dropped a combo at the end there, but that's okay. But yeah, I think it's sitting at about a 7 out of 10 for me. It's enjoyable for sure, but it has work. And honestly, I think a big reason that this game feels like a 7 out of 10 is just because Street Fighter 6 came out this year, and that is probably a 10 out of 10 fighting game. Even though I hated the story mode of it, there's no doubt that that game is just has more going on mechanically. The online is far superior, and having modding support is a huge W for it. So honestly, I think if you want a fighting game this year, Street Fighter 6 is still the better product. That's probably sitting at like a 9 out of 10 for me. That game is incredible. Which says a lot because I'm actually typically a Mortal Kombat fan over Street Fighter, but that's just kind of how it is right now. But yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good one. See all of you in the next video. Stream Rooney. Bye bye.